Welcome back, Norton Man Reviews. Let's get going. Pardon my voice, still getting over a cold. Yeah. What if Wolverine led Alpha Flight? It'd be pretty boring. Don't worry about it. Just kidding. Actually, kind of interesting. This is What If number 59. My brother Rob on his channel, he did a bunch of videos about some of the classic What If issues. They all kind of centered around Wolverine, and now we got another one somehow. This came a few years later. I remember I picked this up, or this came into my possession somehow. And it's kind of a cool little storyline. Oh God, Rusty, already? Okay, just lay down. Lay down. Go. Oh my God. I mean, is this a record for you? Like, not even a minute in? Move your ass. But I always kind of liked the art on this one, and then years later, I realized why. Do you recognize this artist? That's Bryan Hitch of Ultimates fame. He became a tremendously great artist on Ultimates, the revamped Avengers. The way he could tell a story, very cinematic, very lifelike, very real. It was just really, really good. If you haven't read those books at all, I really recommend you do it. This was his early days. And I know he had done some X-Men stuff before the Ultimates when he was starting out, but this is, let's see, March of 1994. So it's, was several years before the Ultimates. So, as always, you got the Watcher, and he's giving you a rundown of who Wolverine is, what the X-Men are, and what the usual history is of them. That is the old blue team. The Jim Lee X-Men versions. But he's Wolverine, He has adamantium. He's an animal kind of guy. Whatever. So, we go back to, there was a storyline when Alpha Flight wanted to kidnap Wolverine, or they wanted him to be a member of Alpha Flight. So you have Alpha Flight and the X-Men having a big old battle here. And as the battle began to set in, Wolverine himself intervenes enough, and enough damage has been done. He will surrender, so he goes with Alpha Flight. I don't remember. I am not aware of what the original storyline was. Obviously, Wolverine didn't stay with Alpha Flight. But this is what if Wolverine had remained a captive of Alpha Flight? Or is it what if Wolverine led Alpha Flight? Whatever. So it goes back to, goes to the X-Men here. The old classic X-Men. And they're basically like, we're going back. Oh God, get this in camera, John. Stupid. We're going back. We're going to rescue Wolverine whether he likes it or not. And then they're like, oh fuck, they are coming back. And this is an important plot point. It's like, why couldn't they leave enough alone? It's like, mobilize all ground and air defense and get me Hudson at Department H. Rusty, get the fuck out of here. Unless Alpha Flight can convince them to turn back, we will have to treat it as a hostile invasion and take military action. So they're coming back into Canada. The military's like, if they don't turn back, we have no choice but to shoot them down. I guess that makes sense. So message ends, hopes it gets to you in time. So they're sending a message to Alpha Flight. And this is fucking North Star. Jean-Paul something. Whenever someone's named Jean-Paul, like the Azrael fucker, I don't ever remember their last name. But he erases the message. Because why? I don't know why. Maybe he wants Wolverine to stay there. So, the X-Men, and who's flying? Someone. So, Air Force is coming after them. Can we evade them? Ah! What is with that, Cyclops? Why are you screaming? So, the Air Force made visual, and they're like, we're ready to take him down. We're waiting for further instructions. But the general's like, any word from Alpha Flight? And they're like, nothing. And he basically gives them the go-ahead to take lethal action or whatever it is. So Storm is like, maybe I can do something. And he's like, yeah, maybe you fucking should. Like, don't wait to get permission from me. Just fucking go do it. Do it, Storm and hurry. But it's too late. We're under fire, under attack. She's flying, what is this, a jumbo jet? She's flying the plane, but the Air Force, like, you know, they're not, she's not going to get away from them. They shoot them, and somehow everybody's dead. Except for Nightcrawler. You know, with the explosions and everything. Like, how, like, Colossus, get in your fucking, like, metal form or something like that, you know, but, like, Cyclops' face is all fucked up there. You know? So, X-Men are dead already, and that's a thing with these what-if issues. You know, people die really, really fast. And the fucking plane crashes, so you got Nightcrawler, Colossus, Cyclops, and Storm. They're dead. They're just... I can't snap. Whatever. So they're dead. And then he's like, all of them? I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Why would you fucking do this? Like, any chance we had of Wolverine staying with us is, like, out the fucking window. Like, what are you gonna, what do you think he's gonna do now? This is, I mean, Bryan Hitch, this is some good art. I mean, even though, like, it's not nearly as good as what he becomes, all this shit is really solid. I remember thinking so back in the day. All the muscles here. I like the lighting, the shade, the shadow of the shades and the blinds. And we logged a call to you, but we found out it was erased. Who exactly was on monitor duty for you? He fucking knows. I like the shot of Wolverine there, and he's fucking pissed. So his name is Vindicator, right? Yeah, Vindicator comes in, and he basically tells him what happened. He doesn't tell him anything about North Star, though. And he's like, we didn't think they were going to come back. We didn't know how much you meant to them. And they're like, fuck, he's stupid going there. Wolverine's going to kill him. Like, yeah, he's going to end up dead. But, you know, he's taking the blame for the deaths. He feeling bad. He's like, we can do it one of two ways. You can either help me, save some lives and lead Alpha Flight, or just fucking kill me right here. So he kills him. Nah, he should have. But he decides to stay with him. He's like, any home I had with the X-Men, it's gone now. So, cool. Deep within the heart of Department H, they're at some thing here. They're at the Stargate, I guess. And they got a mission for Wolverine. And they're going to send him into the negative zone, you know, with Annihilus and the Fantastic Four. Like he said, there was, they sent some people to us and we were able to fight them back. But they retreated and took some hostages. Took hostages, members of Beta and Gamma flights. Oh, that's cool. Was there ever a Beta and Gamma flight? I mean, there's an Alpha flight, obviously. So he's like, why me? Why couldn't you lead him? And something about, like, I think he has to stay behind to make sure this thing is going and needs a lot of energy. Is he supplying the energy with his powers? What are his powers? I don't know. I thought he just had a super suit. But I like he's telling all this shit. And he's just like, you know, lighting up a stogie. I don't think you'll see that in Marvel Comics much anymore. And he just fucking tosses it behind him. He's like, okie dokie, let's do this shit. He's like, if I don't make it back, call Professor X, tell him what happened to the X-Men. And he's like, are you sure? He already thought that they were dead and buried when Magneto's volcano base exploded. So Professor X already thought the X-Men were dead. So he's like, why don't we just let him think that? I'm sure he's thinking like, oh, as soon as Professor X like knows, you know, if he meets Professor X, he's going to figure out what happened to the X-Men and he's going to, you know, tell Wolverine, but Wolverine already knows at this point, doesn't he? I mean, he doesn't know about North Star. Anyways, who cares? He doesn't want, like, Wolverine and Professor X. He doesn't want him to go back to the X-Men. So he's like trying to keep him away from Professor X, I guess. All right, you're a good man, Jimmy. Let's go. And he's crying because he's like, I'm not a good man. I'm a liar. So they're in the negative zone, and they're fighting some negative people, bringing positive thoughts to them. So Wolverine comes into Annihilus and got this little vibrating rod here, and he slashes it at it, and he's like pissed off, get away from me. But Snowbird, she transforms into certain woodland creatures, right? So she turns into an owl and snatches it right off of him. Annihilus is pissed. Wolverine gets caught by Aurora. And he's like, give me back that fucking rod. I need it. Please. So, he's like, you don't understand what you've done. You have to return it to me now. He's like, okay, we got something we each want. So let's talk. So Wolverine detracts his claws and very uncharacteristic like he says, let's talk. And he brokered a deal. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? You, the born scrapper? But he says, like, well, now that I'm a leader, I kind of have to think about others. So I have to start thinking about things in a different way. So I have to think with my head instead of my fists. And I was like, I guess you got your leader, man. So it goes on a little bit of a montage where Wolverine leading Alpha Flight turns them into a badass unit. You know, they're taking care of shit. They fight Magneto, take care of some Sentinels, do shit with Mojo and all that. And he's still, like, the lie is difficult to live with. He reasons that the ends justify the means. Like, so he's still keeping quiet about everything that happened, even though, just because, like, they're doing so much good. Makes sense, I guess. So, there's some shit going on. And they're getting another message, or they're watching a news report. And basically what is going on now in this timeline is the Dark Phoenix saga is going on, but the X-Men are dead. And Professor X sending a message. It's like, we need help. Jean Grey is with the Hellfire Club. If whether ourselves are dead or alive makes no difference. If the power with Jean Grey has to be subverted, countless lives are at risk. So even though he was trying to keep him away from the X-Men, now he's like kind of got no choice. This is end of the world stakes, right? And it says that 2 of the X-Men are dead and Moira McTaggart critically wounded. What 2 X-Men is this? Is that Madrox? See Havoc back here. Anyways, so cut to Wolverine. He's fighting Wild Child. I know nothing about Wild Child except from the Age of Apocalypse, where he was Sabretooth's little pet that he had on a chain he'd throw at people. So they're training, but he's not a mindless animal here. Wild Child's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I'm coming along. Like, there's improvements. And he's talking about, like, you're reckless, but you're improving. You're getting better day by day. And Hudson here, Jimmy Hudson, Vindicator, he's basically like, man, like, he had given up on Wild Child. He thought he would go too feral, but what Wolverine is doing with him has, like, really turned him around, and he's, like, done really good work with him. And he's still really worried. He's like, we've accomplished so much, and there's so much to lose. So gets Wolverine and fills him in about what's going on with Jean Grey and the Hellfire Club. So they're going through the sewers. I kind of like that image of the flashlight in his hand reflecting off the water. And he's with Northstar here. Like, that's the fucker that erased the message, got the X-Men killed. And we're in position down here, but like Wolverine pops his claws at him, and he tells Northstar, ever since I've joined the team, you've been like walking on eggshells around me, and there's a scent that you're like that's on you that I don't like, and it's dried up old moldy roast beef. No, it's fear. He has fear around Wolverine. He doesn't like that, and Wolverine doesn't know why, but he's like, whatever. So it doesn't matter. Time to go. Time to do some shit. So Aurora has this guy who is Sasquatch, throws him, does a whole Archangel Colossus shit thing, throws him, and he transforms and comes crashing into the Hellfire Club. Pretty cool image. Very powerful shit. Suddenly, he comes across Pierce, and he's a cyborg, has robotic parts. And he's like, hey, little guy, hey, little buddy, take your best shot, see what happens. And just, fuck, pow, hits him out the window or something. So, he took a shot. Cut to the rest of Alpha Flight. They're fighting Sebastian Shaw. And, you cannot hope to defeat Sebastian Shaw. And Wolverine's yelling at him as he's fucking up these Hellfire Club guys. He's like, the guy, like, forget brute strength. This guy drinks it. So Shaman here, he takes the cue. He's like, the harder we hit you, the stronger he gets. I will not strike his body, but his mind does some magic shit, fucks up his mind, and he slumps over. He's defeated. Good job. But then, they're getting, they can't stand. They're being crushed. It's fucking Leland here. He can increase your mass and just make you weigh a lot. Shit like that. Remember, he did that thing with Wolverine, dumped him into the sewer, and then Wolverine fucked him up later. So Northstar is down in the sewers, and he's basically talking like, damn, Wolverine fucked these guys up way fast. I'm supposed to be super quick, but Wolverine's too fast for even me to keep up. And he's like, I wonder what would happen if Wolverine ever found out what I did. But then over the comm link, they're yelling for Northstar, so he zips out really quick and just comes and decks this guy across the face, and that's the end of him, apparently. Just one-shots him. And so they're glad they kept him in reserves. So, all's going well. And then Aurora found the X-Men that were left. You got Havoc, Angel, Iceman, Beast. They're alive, but somebody steps behind her, comes into the room, and she's like, she sees them, and then she screams. And Wolverine's like, uh-oh, I think I know what this means. And yeah, there's sexy as fuck Jean Grey in that sexy as fuck outfit as the Black Queen. And she's like full on evil at this point. And she uses her powers and, makes them all fall asleep, does whatever, they're unconscious. And then he wakes up, and suddenly she's full on Dark Phoenix. And they're like, what have they done to you? And nothing that I did not wish them to. So, this is a mastermind here, right? And he's like, thank you for dealing with the rest of the Hellfire Club so comprehensively with Shaw and all the others. He's now the Black King, and with the Black Queen, he'll basically take over the world with her. And then Wolverine's like thinking to himself, looking at Jean Grey as the Dark Phoenix. He's like, Mastermind thinks he's controlling her, but he's wrong. And then, so he's like, you got something for Wolverine, don't you? And she pulls in Northstar here and uses her mind powers and goes inside Wolverine's head and lets him know that Northstar here, what he did. He was the one who ended up having the X-Men killed. So Wolverine is fucking pissed. He's dead. You're dead meat. He's ready to take him on. She's ready to let him. She's like, do it. I give him to you. She just lets him at him. So he goes at and slashes at him. And he has him on the ground. He's ready to put his claws into it. She's coming up behind him. Like, use the claws, but do it slowly. Make him suffer. But with the claws, he turns and just ganks her right in the stomach with his claws. Putting her out of everyone's misery, I guess. And she falls over, slumps over. And it's really sad here. He kills her. That's all it took. I mean, you think with all her powers, it would take more than just being stabbed? But whatever, sake of the story. He kills her. She's dead. Her mind comes back. She's like, thank you. You did what had to be done. You stopped me. You freed me. You saved me from myself. And a really sad moment here with all the X-Men and Alpha Flight around him. So, Watcher's saying, in this reality, Wolverine prevents the rise of Dark Phoenix and the death of billions of the planet Debari. So he stopped her from killing billions of people. X-Men couldn't do that, but Wolverine leading Alpha Flight could. Wolverine is with Professor Xavier, and they're talking, and Hudson here, Vindicator, he's like, he just knows Wolverine's going to go off with them. He's going to go back to the X-Men, but he doesn't. He stays with Alpha Flight. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, I should walk out of here and never look back. I should have done that months ago without hesitation. Maybe hesitating enough to gut Northstar, but he doesn't gut North. He didn't kill him at all. He's still alive. But you were right. Leadership has given me a perspective I didn't know I had. It soothed the Savage Beast. And he's like, I've got a job to do. I'm doing good. So I'm going to stay with Alpha Flight, whether you like it or not. So a lot of these what if issues end on a really big downer, where you're just like, oh, that sucks. This ends on kind of a hopeful note. Like, yes, X-Men died. Yes, Jean Grey died. But, you know, the billions of lives of that one planet were spared. And Wolverine is doing a kick-ass job with Alpha Flight, and they're just going around and doing really good work. So, ends on a good note. So, this game fucking sucked. And I'll fight anyone who disagrees. So, cool Bryan Hitch art. As a young man who is starting to look at the female form more, I really enjoyed these 2 pages. Especially that one, by golly. But Bryan Hitch, up and comer, he still had it. He still had something in the early mid-90s. And he got so much better, but this was some really good stuff and kind of a cool story. So there it is. What if Wolverine led Alpha Flight or stayed a captive? What do you think, Rusty? What would you like to see me review next? Let me know or let Rusty know in the comments. And do all the same shit. Like, share, subscribe. If you enjoy these videos, please check out some of the other ones. I'm up to, I think, 57 followers. That's not much at all. It's kind of nice just to have that for me now. But let's see if we can get some more. So, thank you as always. I'll see you in the next video.